Afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us. Welcome to our webinar on SBA Lender Basics and Lender Match. I'm Cindy Nellis. I'm the director here at the Penn West Clarion Small Business Development Center, and we're glad that you're with us. Today, we will be unlocking the secrets of SBA Lending Basics and Lender Match. We will help you understand and navigate the fundamentals of SBA loans, the eligibility criteria, and the application process. We will explore the innovative Lender Match tool and discover how it connects you with potential lenders tailored to your business needs. And finally, we will discuss additional resources provided by the SBA, empowering you with the knowledge and tools needed to secure the right financing for your business. We'd like to thank the U.S. Small Business Administration and its Pittsburgh District Office for partnering with us to present today's webinar. And a quick note, following today's webinar, you will receive all the presentation slides and the recording of our webinar. So to get started, I'd like to give you a brief introduction to the Pennsylvania Small Business Development Center. We are a grant-funded program with the mission to help businesses start, grow, and prosper. We provide education, information, and tools to help businesses make better business decisions. And we do this through our one-on-one business consulting services and our training. Our consulting services are provided at no cost and are confidential. We can meet you in person, virtually, and by phone. We also offer training seminars on a variety of topics that target the needs of small businesses. And our definition of a small business is generally defined as a business with less than 500 employees. So you can see how we can meet with practically any business. We also use our funding to provide access to database information and resources related to conducting industry and market research, financial analysis, and implementing marketing strategies. And we partner with many economic development organizations as well to help connect you, our small business owners, to many more resources to help you start and grow. In Pennsylvania, the Small Business Development Center network includes 15 centers. We're all located at institutions of higher education. We're a part of America's Small Business Development Center, which is a national network that enables individuals and businesses all over the country to access our program services right in their neighborhood. We are funded through the Small Business Administration on the federal level, the Department of Community and Economic Development on a state level, and then our host institutions do provide a cash contribution to enable us to provide our services at no cost. This is just contact information for me. As I mentioned, there are 15 centers, but there are no wrong doors. I'm happy to be your contact person to get you connected with the SBDC that can help you. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to our speaker. We're excited to have Lynn Ann Wozniak, the Lender Relationship Specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration Pittsburgh District Office. And so with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen. And Lynn, I will turn it over to you.
Right, now I've got my slides up. That took a little bit more than when we just practiced it 10 seconds ago, right? You know, for crying out loud. All these silly buttons. Anyway, so welcome everybody. Glad that you guys are all here this afternoon, and thanks so much for Cindy hosting today. And we're going to pull back the curtain and talk a lot about what content and how the support of the SBDCs, you know, of course, working with Cindy or any of the other ones is very, very important. So at SBA, we cover 27 counties here in Western Pennsylvania, and maybe if you're not in our district, that's okay. Cindy will help you find your way. You can see here's our contact information here, and we're actually in Green Tree, just outside of Pittsburgh, outside the tunnels. So welcome and glad you're here. So we already kind of know that we've got Penn West in our corner, right? They're here to kind of support and start to help you think outside the box because you're going to be working on a business plan. And more importantly, kind of understanding what you need in the way of funding and how you're going to talk with a lender about those types of things. So my presentations are a little different in that I've got hyperlinks usually at the top, and that usually will take you to the page that I show. Now, sometimes SBA will update the pages, and you'll see different pictures or something of that nature, but the content is all still the same. So at SBA, we have 3 loan programs. SBA does not do any direct lending, except for in disaster situations, okay? But today we're talking about the lending process in both the 7A, 504, and microloan programs. So what I did is I broke down each of the individual programs, and I get it. Government loves to talk in these crazy acronyms, right? But what I want you to take home from this is that when we're talking the 7A program, we're talking about a bank lender, okay? And this may be a lender that you already bank with, okay? We don't know that at the moment, but more than likely it might be. And the hyperlink here at the top will take you to a little bit, I kind of condensed the information down, but that'll give you the most recent updated information on the 7A loan programs. But 7A in general is like an umbrella. It covers lots of things, from purchasing real estate to maybe you just need fixtures, maybe you need some business debt refinanced. But regardless of what program we're talking about, what we're looking at is in all 3 of the programs, you're paying both the principal and the interest on the loan out of the positive cash flow of the business, okay? So that's where Cindy's group comes in and starts to help you work through those financials so that you can really understand what you're capable and able to pay back if you're going to talk to a lender, all right? So this is, remember, 7A bank lender, okay? Another program, I know we talked about real estate in 7A. This is a different kind of program. So where we're looking at the 504 program, and we have in our area, I have 4 certified development companies that lend in this program. Hyperlink, once again, will take you to the web page that talks about it a little bit more. And usually they cover wider areas, multiple counties, is what a certified development company covers. And just so that you know, they may have their own money as well. Okay, so not just SBA money, there may be other monies available. So it's worthwhile talking to them. Now, when I talk about real estate, I'm talking about owner occupied real estate. This isn't for investment purposes. And maybe some of you aren't even ready for this yet, right? But it's a good thing to know that down the road, if you're looking at some place that you want to be, an existing structure, you have to occupy at least 51% of that structure because there may already be tenants in there, right? And usually my certified development companies like to talk to you a couple years ahead of time so that they can help you prepare what you're going, what are we doing? Why am I doing it? Where am I going to be? And they're good resources. If it's new construction, you have to own or occupy at least 60%, but most people, if they're building something, they want to own it and occupy it at 100%. But even if you're not there yet, here's something else to think about. Maybe there's improvements in modernization. I recently had a phone call from a business in Forest County, and they were looking to update their HVAC system. So this program worked perfect for them because they knew they already had something in existence, but needed to go to something that was definitely more cost efficient and a great way. So even if you need improvements because you already own your building, right? Great place to go. All right, once again, principal and interest, cash flow of the business. That's positive cash flow of the business. That's how we're making the payments. But the last one, and the one I want to spend the most time on, is our microloan program. So we're talking $50,000 and under. Okay. These are nonprofits in our communities. Okay. They call them intermediaries, and they are able to lend up to $50,000 for what you see on the screen: working capital, inventory, no real estate. Okay. So maybe you need to think about, do I really need a big chunk of money? Will something smaller, as I start to build that credit, is something smaller maybe a better fit? Here's the other reason it may be a better fit. The other 2 lenders provide no technical assistance. Our microloan lenders are required to provide technical assistance before you apply for a loan with them, while you're applying for the loan with them, and then afterwards. So maybe you need more help on marketing, maybe you need more help on QuickBooks, maybe all of these things that even though you've got the support of one side from Penn West, right? Working with them, working on that business plan, that microloan lender may be the other one that kind of you walk arm in arm with as well to help you move forward, right? So think about that when you're really going to sit down and figure out, like, what do I really want to borrow and who do I really want to borrow from? You've got three options, okay? And maybe the microloan program, it's like eating an elephant. You take one tiny bite at a time, right? And make positive progress. That's the main thing for the long haul. And what I did is I provided to Cindy, and I gave her a cut down version of this because there are a lot of ads in this old book. But the lenders, they start on page 29. And so I cut out some of the ads and things, but you'll see the 29 down in the bottom. One thing to point out about the lenders that are in the 7A program, they decided to group the book based on where the home office of that lender is. So if you're, for some reason, in Armstrong County, right, and maybe there's two lenders listed there, that doesn't mean those are the only two lenders that will lend to you in that county. It just means that's where their home office is. So maybe if I were in Butler County and I saw that, well, Armstrong isn't that far away, I may reach out to those lenders. If they have a branch closer, they're going to connect you with the lender that's closest to you. The certified development companies, that's the 504. If you're looking to purchase real estate, they're going to be on page 32. And even though the microloan lenders are listed also on page 32, I've cheated and I've given you the hyperlink to each of their web pages. Okay. And I've even given you the counties that they serve. Okay. Because that's the point about the microloan lenders. They can only serve counties that they have certification for. Okay. So you'll pay attention. So some of you, may have a choice of a couple of them. Some of you may only have the choice of one. But I put them all in alphabetical order, and these are all of them: Bridgeway Capital, Pursuit, they serve all the counties. Jari, they're kind of up through the center of the state, kind of that I-99 corridor. Neighborhood Community Development Fund, they used to just serve 3 zip codes in Allegheny County, and now they're serving the entire county. And then Washington County Council on Economic Development. So the main thing we want to jump into here is the lender match. And how does this all fall into what you have to have prepared? Do you have to use the lender match platform to find a lender? No. I've already given you microloan lender contacts. You'll get the resource guide. They'll have our local lenders that are lending. But what you might consider doing is as I walk through this and you understand what information the lenders are going to want from you, you may want to play in the lender match platform, get matched with somebody not local, practice, right? Because we don't want our palms sweating and our mouths running dry. We want to start to be able to talk a little bit, right? And then maybe you practice on the people that are out of state, and then you go and you hit your local lender up, right? Because you've practiced. It's just like an interview. So 3 programs, 7A, 504 microloan. Those are all the lenders that are in the lender match platform. Hyperlink will take you there. If you have any problems in the platform itself, this is the only way that you can communicate with that platform. Local district offices across the United States, we don't have access to any of this information. So they would be the ones that would be able to help you with any account issues. So I'm going to spend time on describing your needs and what's in the platform, and then how you have to start to think about your business plan and things that you have to start to get comfortable with, including, things that the lenders may want to talk about. So business plan, I'll show you where you'll use different things from your business plan in this platform. Things to think about, on the amount and use of funds, and things that you want to have prepared when you're talking to a lender. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this industry experience from the perspective of what the lenders are looking for when you say you have industry experience. Now, SBA about a year ago really overhauled this platform, and they've made it a lot more secure. Where really, no matter what, you're driving the boat on this whole interaction with a lender once you're connected. Hyperlink's going to take you to a page that looks similar to this. Sometimes they'll change the colors. You click on the red link and it takes you in. Now, we are trying to get to the My SBA loan portal, okay? So for some reason, SBA wanted you to pre-fill all of this information. So then when you actually built your account in the My SBA loan portal, it would carry into the account. But as you can see, you put your information in, and no matter what, it's always going to say congratulations. And then you click the continue button and it makes you sign in. Okay. So I cheated. I've given you the single sign on to help you get your account registered. There's no point in loading everything ahead of time. You've got these slides as a cheat sheet anyway. You know what's going to be required if this is what you choose to do in order to interact with a lender. We all know how to set up a password, the information we have to put in. In this platform, these crazy little teeny tiny red asterisks are a big deal, okay? So if you don't fill it out, you can see like we did something wrong on this page. You can see that the next step didn't turn red, so we couldn't advance at all. But once you do start to fill everything out, the next step becomes red. You're going to put in your information. If for some reason you have a PPP or an EIDL loan, you may already be in the My SBA portal. Lender Match is one of the choices within the portal. If you have an EIDL loan and you haven't gone into the My SBA portal or a PPP, you can say yes to this. And what it does is it's actually going to link those old loans. Even if you've filed for forgiveness, you'll get to see everything in your account. As you move forward, it's going to make you choose your security questions. We don't have any access to this at all. So you're going to have to print everything. Otherwise, you're going to have to reach out to the phone number here to kind of talk to them, or the lender match at sba.gov if you're having a problem with this account. And then what happens is they're going to email you and you're going to have to verify. Once you verify, and I wanted to make sure, and I realized that we're still in that stage of people are emailing me and I don't know why I'm getting an email. I just wanted to show you the example, and it will come from no reply at cls.sba.gov. Okay. Once you register, okay, and you need to confirm and click on your, click that you're confirming that email. And what happens is once you do that, you confirm, it kicks you out and makes you sign in again, right? But now you kind of know what's supposed to come as you kind of build this portal so that you can go into your, lender match account. So you're signing in, okay, and agreeing to everything. And then this is the meat and bones of lender match, okay? So not only do I have, talk with you guys, I talk with the SBDCs and I talk with the lenders, because the lenders especially are on the other side of this. And there are things that they're reading as you put this information in. And we wanted to make sure that you had an idea of everything that you could possibly pull together so that when you do connect with a lender, your conversation can continue. Okay. So we'll go to this first page here. So we're putting in the name of the business, right? We're putting in the website. Are we? Here's what the lenders say. If you have a website and it's good and you're functioning, utilizing it, and you choose to share it, my lenders say they're interested in looking at that so they can ask better questions. If you don't have one, you don't need to rush out and build one, okay? It's okay, especially like if you're a startup and you don't even have one yet, right? But if you have it, use it to your advantage. That's what the message the lenders wanted me to get across to you, that they can and will engage that way and ask you, more questions about your business. You're going to put in your tax ID number, right? And you've got questions to answer. Bankruptcy, insolvency, is your business a franchise? Okay. But the most important paragraph is this one right here. You're going to be describing what your business does. This is where we're talking about that business plan, okay? It's an executive summary, or if you're in contracting, it's called the capability statement, okay? And I get it. When we're trying to express what our business does, sometimes We put a lot of information in there, all right? So what I need you to notice is that in this particular platform, they only give you 2,000 characters. So we know that when we're looking at this, what does 400 or what does 2,000 characters look like? So I went back, typed quick brown fox, jumped over lazy dog, use all my letters on my keyboard. And that actually, I cut and pasted it in what was in a Word document and did a word count, 409 words. So even though you've got a really good business plan, if you're going to try and talk to someone through this Lender Match platform, you're going to need to whittle it down a little bit. Okay. Get the best 409 words that really pack a punch about your business. You may even indicate that you've worked with Cindy's team and you finished your business plan in, February of 2025. The thing is our local lenders know our SBDCs. So they're familiar with that. But a couple other things. Just because I cut and pasted this into a Word document, you can use a Word document for this platform. So I can write my paragraph, I can spell check my paragraph, I can do the grammar check on my paragraph, I can word count it, I can grab it, cut and paste it in. You don't have to type in that little teeny tiny box because it does not expand, it scrolls. Okay. So now we kind of know you've got that capability statement or that executive summary, and that's what they're expecting in that first paragraph. Now, you're going to fill out number of employees, your business address. This becomes important, especially for the microloan lenders. Like I said, I've already given you all their contact. You know what county you're in. You know what counties they serve. You don't have to do this in order to work with a microloan lender, okay? And you want to put in your primary contact name, all right? So one of the bonuses, and when we get to the very end, I'll explain a little bit more about what the lender entry looks like when it comes back to you. And that's where this business address, because that's what they're focusing on. Where is the location of the business? So they're always going to want to send you a lender, that's in the branch that's closest to you. So we have that main information. Let's talk about the industry. Now, you can only choose one industry, and this is a drop down. In that drop down, I cheated and I put in a lot of, I grabbed the screenshots of those drop downs so that you had an idea of what was there. If for some reason you're choosing other services, and I can't really put my finger on what other services really means, and the lenders weren't really thinking they could put their finger on it, okay, because you had enough choices there that you would fall into one of the other categories. They'd like you to try and explain that in the first paragraph if for some reason it's something that's a little different, and maybe you're going to talk to your SBDC about the best way to phrase if you think you don't fall into one of the other categories. And how long has your business been providing products and services to this industry? This is where we're talking about that time in business. So I may have been a baker for 20 years, but this is the first time I'm running my own bakery and I'm asking for, let's say, an oven, right? So I may have 20 years of experience, okay? But really, I've only been providing my bakery products in the last 3 years. And I know I knew when I bought it that I needed a new oven. And now I'm trying to get my paperwork all in order to purchase that. So think about it this way. It's really, how long have you been in business, and do you have the tax records to back that up? Okay. So if it's less than a year, you're a startup and you're not going to have that information, right? But if you've been in business, it's not your total number of years of experience, but really what can you provide the taxes for? That's what the lender's looking for in this particular section of the Lender Match platform. So now we're talking about your request. Once again, how much funding do you think you need? And what will the funds be used for? Now, they've changed this portion of the platform. You used to be able to select multiple things, okay? They took that option away. And when I sat down and I talked to the lenders about this, like how do you want someone to explain the dollars and money that they're asking for? they want you to pick the majority, what the majority of the funds is for. So if I'm purchasing, a piece of equipment, right? And I say I need to do some consolidating of business debt, if this is, $5,000 and this is $30,000, right? Then I'm going to pick purchasing equipment. And then as I switch here, oops, wrong way. You have that 2,000 characters to explain what you're doing, right? So think about it. I've got my piece of equipment. Equipment is my majority. I'm selecting that, and I'm using this paragraph to explain why I need funds at a larger dollar amount, not just for the oven. So when I'm explaining about the oven, this is where if you're doing your work ahead of time, you may already have quotes about the piece of equipment that you want to purchase. This is a perfect place to put that information in. I have 3 quotes on 3 different objects, my ovens, let's say. And the features and benefits, and you're going to be able to talk through that. So ideally, even knowing that you have quotes starts the lender thinking of questions that they want to ask. Let's talk about, let's say I mentioned refinancing business debt. You need to be able to say, hey, I actually have 18 months worth of statements that I can provide to you that would show you what I spent, that money on and why I think I need that help in refinancing. All of a sudden, that attention of that lender, because you're organized, you're telling them, I have quotes, I have statements that I'm ready to discuss and talk about how I've been spending my money. Those are huge things for a lender. Okay. That's a great way for you to be able to have them be a little bit more familiar with how you are as a business owner, right? Okay. Prepared. That's what we want. Now, when we're talking about possible funding requirements, these 3 things right here, if you check them, the lender is going to ask for them. And I recently had this happen where someone checked that they had a business plan, and when the lender talked to them, they weren't prepared. And the lenders, our local lenders, will refer you back to an SBDC because they know you're not prepared. Okay. So you're in the right place. If you're getting started on all of this, if you already have your business plan, you're just trying to figure out, that's a bonus. Okay. It's the same thing with your financial projections. They're expecting you to be able to explain to them, what the positive cash flow of that business is. So just remember, if you check it, they're going to ask for it, and they're going to be expecting you to be able to talk about it. That's why you're in a great place today if you're not prepared yet, because that's what Cindy and her staff are able to help you with. The last question in this is, what is your veteran status? It's a drop down. It will not allow you to advance if you don't select one, and you don't have to disclose anything. You can say not disclose and it'll roll forward for you. So this page is the summary page. So if for some reason my paragraph was more than "we made great pizza," which is, the first paragraph, I know I need to go back to that section, and I just click on it and takes me back, and I need to make the changes. But definitely verify everything that you've answered here before you click the submit button. So once you submit it, all right, what happens now? Well, this starts the 48-hour time clock. Okay, so a couple things to remind you about when we're talking about the 48-hour time clock. If you're working on this on Friday afternoon, you're not going to be matched by Sunday afternoon. What'll happen is that it's business days. So starting Monday, that'll start your clock. Okay, the same thing if there's a federal holiday. It works the same way. So if a federal holiday falls on a Friday or a Monday, expect an extra day that it's going to take in order for those matches to occur. So that gives the lenders enough time to read what you've written and decide whether they're interested in, talking to you a little bit more about the business. So it sits for a while, in that 48 hours. But what happens is here at the very end, you're going, and this is just an example, a canned example, but you're going to get the bank name. All right. I've spent a lot of time with our local lenders on making their paragraphs. This is a minimal paragraph. Some of our lenders have done a tremendous job of explaining what they do and how they work with you and how they're in your communities and they want to support you. So even if you choose to say, yes, I'm interested, and the bank is in, I don't know, Arkansas, you can still talk to them, see what questions they ask you, see what questions you want to ask them, and decide whether this is something you want to continue. If it's something where you kind of feel as though understanding and working with Cindy's group that you're just ready to talk to your lender, you don't even have to use lender match. If you know that the lender down the street is who you want to work with, just remember, just like you're serving your community, they're there in the communities and they're there to serve and work with you guys. Now, one last thing before we leave this is you've got a name and a phone number here. Sometimes in lender match with the banks, they have one person that is receiving all of the matches, okay? So just because Ann Campbell gets all of the matches and, Susie Smith calls you, remember at the very beginning where I said you kind of told them where your business was located? Well, Susie Smith may be assigned to you because Ann looked at it and you're closer to Susie Smith. Okay. You can always reach out to Ann and say, hey, Susie Smith's calling me from your bank. The lenders are familiar with that. They realize that, people are more cautious nowadays, and that's okay. Our local guys, they all know what, kind of how things are working. But ideally, think about it this way. You have a couple options. We pulled back the curtain a little bit, okay, talked about different things that you have to start to have prepared. We know that you've got Cindy's team, right? Or an SBDC, if you're not in Cindy's area, she's going to hook you guys up, right? To talk to someone. You also are going to get that local lender book, right? So kind of you can take a look at who's in your area. We know that you can even think that maybe I need some more help and I want to work with a micro lender. I want to borrow less money. You've got all the slides for that as well. So in closing, I'm going to say that, you are more than welcome to reach out to the Western Pennsylvania District Office at any time with more questions. Hoping and that working with Cindy's group, you guys will kind of get a handle on everything. And I really appreciate, everyone's taking their time today to go ahead and chat with me, I guess. Kind of talked for a while now.
Thanks, Lynn. I really appreciate your time today. And I wanted to hand it off to anybody who would like to ask any questions. If it would be helpful to ask it, all you have to do is ask to be unmuted, and I can get you unmuted, and you can ask Lynn directly whatever questions you have. While we give them a chance to throw questions maybe into the chat, I will just say that the slides that you have seen today will be forwarded to you along with the meeting recording, and that will be sent shortly after we're finished today, as soon as it's done processing. Any questions?
We wore them down. They're getting ready to give you a call as soon as we're done talking to them today. That's awesome.
So Lynn did talk about a business plan, and if you're looking for funding, typically a bank will want to see a full business plan, or at least maybe even a scaled down narrative and a full set of financial projections. And the Small Business Development Center, that's, I would say, our sweet spot. And we're happy to help you with that. We just ask that you reach out, become a client, and I'll be sending information after the fact today with links to do that. You can always go onto our website and click through to request counseling there, or you can email me directly to, again, there's lots of different ways you can get in touch with us, but we'll make sure that you have that direct link to sign up for a client if you aren't already. Any questions? Lynn, I think they're going to let you off easy today.
I think so. That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's good. Hopefully it's, that we've kind of done, both you and I have pulled the slides together to make them as comprehensive. So I'm sure
Mhm.
that, if they've got any other questions, they'll be good.
Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you, Lynn. We really appreciate your time in squeezing us in this week. We are looking forward to celebrating National Small Business Week next week. And there's lots of different businesses that will be celebrating next week as well, across the region. So we appreciate your time and all that you've done for the Small Business Development Center program. Been it's been great working with you.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed working with you guys, and I, definitely go to those webinars that she has because they're pretty awesome. Get out there and meet some people. That's great. All right. Well, hey, thanks again for
Yep,
hosting, and thank you for all of everyone paying attention today.
yep. All right. Thanks, Lynn. Everybody have
Okay.
a great day.